guess this is it. All right. That that fifth tripod, if we could just, for YouTube live, somewhere, anywhere. We can do that, I guess.
Chair right here. Yeah, you could put my suitcase on the chair. Yeah. Production there or anything?
Are we late? What the fuck? Cool. And Val, you got the chat, right?
Yeah, I got the chat.
Cool.
Someone said that. Is that the Mark Conley?
Boom.
I like this, bro. Damn. Oh yeah. The little three stuff. I mean, no, the heart. Yeah, man. Ready, bro? Yeah, bro. Let's do it. Oh. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Abarca, where we speak about fitness, entrepreneurship, and humble beginnings. This is season 3, episode 7. I have a very special guest here. Joe, roll the intro. Real quick announcements, guys. I specialize in fat loss and building booties. Bro, if you didn't know, man, they call me the booty doctor. So, guys, online coaching, which includes diet plans and individualized training programs, are available. In-person training is also available as well if you're located in the Northeast tri-state area. All right, please reach out to me on Instagram and through email. They're both tagged on my YouTube channel. But fuck that, man. I got a special guest here, bro. All right, we're both Bryans, but you're not known as Brian. You're known as Speedy.
Yes, sir.
Leader of the Speedy tribe, who is huge in men's growth, motivation, and how I kind of debunk that. It's kind of basically the red pill, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, Speedy, I know you, but for the people that don't know you, please introduce yourself.
Speedy Shepherd, motivational orator from Passaic, New Jersey, North Jersey, if y'all don't know where that's at. You know, Speedy comes from pretty much, you know, me growing up playing football all my life. You know, so we put it together. And that's what it was about. But, you know, I pretty much took that name and I kind of like converted it into, you know, my actual brand. And I stand here before y'all today, brand ambassador of 4 different companies, motivational speaker, public speaker. I'm a disciplinary coach as well, social media manager, et cetera, down the line. And, you know, I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for having me, brother.
Of course, man.
Shout out to everybody, the crew back there too. I like paying homage. I'm one of them type of dudes. So I pay homage to the people in the back. You know what I mean? So yeah, glad to be here, brother.
I appreciate it, man. So, you know, when we spoke previously, you told me you were a content creator, you're a motivational speaker. And what's ironic is that you grew up in Passaic. Yeah. Like, bro, we're neighbors. I grew up in Patterson.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I've done my homework. Yeah. I've seen some of your podcasts. I've seen some of your clips. We've both gone through some humble beginnings, especially you. So I kind of want to go through the origin story of Speedy. Hometown Passaic. I hear you were a football athlete in college.
Yeah. So, you know, growing up in Passaic, a small little town, kind of crazy, the environment I grew up in. I grew up in the Aspen Place Project. Shout out to, you know, the stomping grounds, and shout out to everybody who had everything to do with me growing up. So growing up in those environments, you know, it's either you going one way or the other way. And for me, growing up as a youngin', I realized that those type of routes, right, it can be It can be very, very troublesome if you take that wrong route. So I knew everything. I knew something just wasn't right growing up where I grew up at. So I found football at the age of 8. And, you know, thank God for my mentors, my coaches, the people that, you know, helped raise me out of those tough situations. And I stuck with football because I just wanted to get out of the situation that I was in, you know, growing up, drug-infested area, you know, family members, all that stuff, being part of their environments, me seeing it as a young kid, just knowing that something was off. And I just took it upon myself to say, these feet right here, that I got right here, is going to get me out of this situation. So I took it upon myself to just stick with football, play football in high school, ended up getting recruited to go play football in college. Also ran track in college as well.
Okay.
Graduated college, got a bachelor's degree in sport management. And then after that, what happened is I kind of like took a hiatus from football because I think I can speak for most people who go to college and when they graduate, they hit that post-college wall,
right,
where they don't know what they want to do with their lives. So I hit that wall as well. And in that solitude phase where I didn't do anything, I sat still, I actually got to know myself more. You know, the athlete was gone. Right. Like Speedy, the athlete was gone. Brian had to be by himself and figure out, all right, how can I convert Speedy into something even way more than an athlete? Right. So I sat in my grandfather's apartment for 4 months straight, you know, learning self-mastery, monk mode pretty much. I went in monk mode, and in that solitude, I found a solution. And my solution was, I have a gift. I know how to speak very well. And then once I started really understanding that that's what I was really born to do, everything started hitting. And we're here today, 5 years later, 5.5 years later.
5.5 years later, you're speaking at high school, you're speaking at colleges, and nonprofit speaking, nonprofit organization, excuse me. Yes. So how did you end up getting into these high schools and colleges, or are they schools that you used to go to? Are they nonprofit organizations that you networked with? For anyone who wants to follow on your footsteps, what did you do? So we kind of educate the young youth out there.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like the way I got in these positions and I'm here now is because of my ability to use my resources, right? And also just not use your resources, but be resourceful with your resources. So I have a mentor. I have mentors. I have many mentors, instructors, you name them. So one of my mentors right now, he's a speaker as well, and he was a dean at Kentucky State University. You know, me and him connected through one of my brand ambassador partners. It's funny how the world works, and he pretty much granted me as well as going to nonprofits, going down to Florida, going up to Syracuse. Then for me, myself, I put myself in a position to go speak at my high school where I spoke to the high school football teams. I spoke to Garfield, I spoke to Passaic, I spoke at another nonprofit in Boston when I was living up there as well. So I was just putting myself in these positions by just connecting with people, with the right people, and that's what it's all about, man. Connection.
I hear people that want to go into public speaking, and I'm just being selfish here because I'm curious, because I always kind of wanted to get into public speaking as well.
Right.
I hear those type of people, they end up getting suggestions to just start emailing a bunch of organizations, high schools, colleges, and emails of 10, 15, 20, hundreds of people or places. One of them is bound to just be like, oh sure, why not, for free?
Yeah, cool, free.
Yeah. And then that's how you end up getting content, that's how you end up networking. Right. And then they end up just kind of like throwing you a bone and getting the ball rolling. No?
That's right. So what you're saying is what my mentor always tells me too, because it's funny talking about this because my mentor watches this, he gonna look at me like all funny and stuff, because he urges me all the time, listen, put yourself out there more. He said, you're out there, but put yourself out there way more. So you supposed to, if I'm emailing 50 schools a day, he like, yo, do 150.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Like he's one of them type of guys. Right. He's gonna get in my ass about it. But what is very true is when you do contact, those schools, one, maybe 5 of them out of 100 is gonna contact you back. They're gonna accept you, and that's good. You know what I mean? You want that because you miss all the shots you don't take, right?
Right.
So take some shots. You might make a few, and when you make a few, the thing is the ball will roll because after that, when you speak and you leave a good impression, referrals happen.
Exactly.
And when referrals happen, now you really roll. Now you're like that's when the real snowball effect happens, and you start growing bigger and bigger, and your demand grows more and more, and then you're there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now let me ask you this, because I've seen your content, and it really, really kind of pushes more men's growth.
Yes.
So I'm being a little selfish here.
Go ahead.
How important is it, especially for a man, to have a mentor?
Oh man, wow. All right, I'm gonna go deep here.
Please.
So look, it's very important for men to have mentors due to the fact that there's not enough men in the world right now as we speak. Men are very much the leaders of we're the leaders, man. We're the physical leaders of this world. So when you don't have them at your disposal, or when you don't have them around you to really give you that energy, the guidance, the masculine guidance, there's an imbalance in that. So for me, growing up, I grew up around a lot of women, and then as I got older and I got into football, it shifted to being around a lot of men.
Okay.
But I had the balance of being around a lot of women and men.
Right.
So I started understanding, this is the balance. This is the balance that most families lack. This is the balance that most men lack and women lack. So I just started saying, you know what? And it was something that I liked at some certain points too, and I realized it. So when I realized it, I'm like, you know what? Let me make content based on it.
Right.
So that's how I really started. Like I started out making red pill content, or I would say disciplinary content, I would say, and teaching men about knowing how to harness their energy, sexual energy, if you want to get more specific about it, and transmuted it into a goal, a mindset, or even yourself to be more renowned in the world.
Yeah, definitely. I would completely agree to that, and I think nowadays, like making it personal. I grew up without a father, so I always seeked some type of guidance or mentorship. My grandfather raised me. He was third generation. He was first generation. I was third generation. So there's always that age gap where he could only give me the foundation, and he can't really kind of guide me through modern times.
Yeah.
Especially since he skipped. He already lived through 2 generations forward.
Yep.
So I decided to kind of seek out multiple mentorships, even if you had to put down capital like $10,000, $15,000. Because again, successful men, they end up exchanging their value for something. You need it. All friendships, all relationships are transactional at the end of the day. That's right. Even friendships. It sounds selfish, but it is what it is. You're always gonna have a guy who has a certain niche. I'm the guy who has a certain niche, and then when those niches come together, you form a network, and then you can take over the world from there.
So for you, it was very important for you to have that. Like that.
Oh yeah, of course. So since we're talking about networking, you mentioned you're a social media manager,
right?
So how difficult is that, especially since you end up doing a combination of social media managing, public speaking, or is it extremely easy? Do you just combine both and then you end up getting some content, etc.? So what ends up happening, man?
So I got into social media management when I landed a 3-month gig with one of my buddies here, Chris Williams, Swaggy C. If y'all don't know him, look him up. Very famous guy.
Shout out to him.
Multi-millionaire.
I follow him.
Trader. Yeah, so it's one of my guys, man, and he hooked me up with a 3-month project together. 3 months, and it lasted, and I started understanding the intricacies of how to really effectively run a brand. Because y'all watching right now, social media is your brand. That's what it is. So I learned how to do that, but it was weird because I kind of it felt like second nature because I was growing my brand already.
Right.
So when I was managing his social media account, it was like second nature. So, after that, I started realizing like, this is something that a lot of people don't like doing because there's a lot of back end work. There's a lot of work to do. You have to learn who your client is. You got to learn what they like. You got to learn how they type. You got to learn how they speak. You gotta learn everything top to bottom. So
not many people know that because, you know, I've hired social media managers in the past and, you know, most of them are female because they have the creativity.
yeah,
It's dope.
yeah,
But then they end up having the captions and they don't speak like me. I'm a guy.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So like most of the captions you could tell even when I end up going on other professionals' pages.
Yeah,
You end up looking at the captions and it's like, yo, you can't match their wording. Like my mans don't speak like that.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you kind of tell, and I think when you're shopping around for a social media manager, you need to really look at the semantics, the intricate details where, you know, you're just like, all right, like I'm gonna be working for him. He speaks like this, so I need to speak his language because of his network and his audience, and then that way my message or his message can get across. You know what I'm saying? Is that true?
Yes, very true. That's very accurate.
So you have a podcast.
Yes.
That's why you speak so fucking well. That's fucking crazy. So the Speedy Tribe podcast show. Is that right? Yeah. Bro, I did my homework,
Hey,
man.
listen. He on it. He's on
You
it.
know?
He's on it.
You know?
He's on it.
So how difficult is it to do a podcast for the people who, you know, kind of get the itch? You know, I feel like everybody wants to do a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you gotta look at the crew. Yeah, that's self-explanatory. That's one. You know, it's a whole team. So, and there's exceptions to it because you can also buy your own little podcast gear. You could be a walking podcast. I consider myself a walking podcast. Like I have my own podcast show. However, the show is me walking into your podcast and being that. You know what I mean? Just being that amongst everybody else I collab with. I like collab work because I just like that's how I always been. All my friends are like, yo, you're a master networker, bro. All I do is network. I love doing it because you never know. You just never know. So anybody watching this right now, if you're looking and you're wondering why you're not growing and you're wondering, yo, you gotta network.
Yeah.
That's the key to life, network. And also have people know you, not just you know people.
That's facts.
There's a question on the live.
All right, what is it?
It says, do you use a regular bank or a credit union to manage your finances?
You can take that and then I'll go.
Do you use a credit? Wait, is it? I'm sorry.
Do you use a regular bank or a credit union to manage your finances for what you do? That's the question.
For me.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. Usually the smart people go with credit unions because obviously it's bigger margins and stuff with that. Banks, I mean, especially commercial banks, like we can get into that. I know you know more about that too, but I use regular bank. I use a credit union. But I know that obviously the more I grow, I'm gonna go more to the credit union side. So
I agree with that, you know, and again, I'm not here to give banking advice. That's not my niche. You know, you could say I'm an idiot with that. So what I end up doing is hiring someone to end up doing it for me. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you don't know, educate yourself, or you could just be like me, who, you know, ends up working 24/7 and hire someone to do it for you, and then they just end up reporting to you. You know, I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like,
follow-up question from the same person.
Yeah, go ahead.
He was like, Brian, how many sunglasses do you own?
I'm getting closer to the double digits.
right.
Closer to the double digits. So, Speedy.
Yep.
When I spoke to you, something resonated to me. You were speaking about purposes.
Right.
And then I was looking at some clips, and that same word kept popping up. Purpose. Yeah. What does it mean to find and work on your purpose to you?
To me, man, working on my purpose is the most important thing in life because for me, I believe we were sent here, we were born here for a reason. You know, we weren't born here to stay the same. We were born here to actually activate our gifts. Mm-hmm. It's all about activation when you live in this life, you know. The more things you grow into, the more you activate certain things. And for me, I realized, like, damn, like, I ain't here to just be a football player. I'm not just here to be a social media content creator. I'm not here to do none of that. I'm here to really just be a voice for the voiceless. That's for one. and just be a being that glimpse of hope for people. You know, a glimmer of hope in that. So when I found that my purpose, I started realizing like, yo, this is like what life is all about. Like, being true to yourself, living true to your purpose, living true to your gift that you have. You know, we're all blessed with certain gifts in here. Everybody that's in right now. So, you know, if you got a gift, activate it, use it every single day. And once I found my gift, that's exactly what I've done, and I'm still doing to this day, and it means everything to me.
Do you feel like your gift was just a bunch of trial and error throughout your journey?
Yes, it was like this leading up to it.
Right.
And it's still like that to this day, even with the gift.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Even when you grasp the gift, life still goes like this.
Right.
That's a bar.
That's crazy. Like you know,
That's crazy.
Like that's a different path for me. You know, like what? There was an obstacle not an obstacle, but there was an event that happened to me. You know, I was heartbroken senior year in high school. You know, a girl broke my heart.
Yeah, do you want to do
You know,
that?
it's usually those, man.
You had the heartbreak blues?
The heartbreak blues. I never heard of that, but yeah, the heartbreak blues. And during that time, my grandfather who raised me, we mentioned him, he raised me like a father. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So the combination of both, the heartbreak and the depression, and I was 18, and I really had to drive him to chemotherapy almost every day, etc. Was pretty tough for me. And I had a buddy of mine who had a gym membership. Mind you, I was a skinny kid. Imagine my big ass head, maybe 70 pounds lighter. That was me. Yeah. All right. I weighed 130 pounds, and he brought me as a guest to the gym, and I fell in love with the stress relief. I fell in love with the stress relief, and it was an outlet. And I know your outlet was football. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And the gym too.
And the gym.
Oh, yeah.
You know, athletes in us, right? Yeah. So that was my outlet, and ironically, during that time, I ended up having to choose my major for college. So I caught myself being at the gym maybe 3 or 4 hours, just, you know, doing my outlet. And then I didn't know what to major on. I mean, I was like, I could draw. I'm pretty good at geometry. Maybe I should be an architect. But it just wasn't a calling. So I was like, fuck it, why not? Why don't I major in exercise science, exercise physiology? You know, I love researching on exercise and, you know, anatomy, working on the body, etc.
How many years you got in the game?
12 years now. Close to 12 years now. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. But you know, like I'm sharing this story just for anyone out there that, you know, there's different paths to get to, you know, that niche, that destination, that purpose.
Right.
You know, there's a 5 + 1 = 6, and there's a 3 + 3 = 6. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like your shit was just like this, and my shit was like, all right, I had a roadblock, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna turn this way, and then I found my gift, and I was like, holy shit, like this is amazing. Now I'm personal training. I used my degree to work at different facilities. Now I have my own facility, and then I'm training people, fat loss, and building booties. This is crazy, man. I'm gifted, bro.
That's
you know,
great, bro.
You know, but talking about business, you spoke to me about being an ambassador, especially since we're talking about fitness.
Yeah.
For Eat Beat Nick.
Eat Beat Nick, yeah.
I've never even heard of that. Can you explain that to me? I know it's pretty big in some major cities in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to Eat Beat Nick. Beat Nick is a vegan restaurant that's based out of New York, Boston, and Rhode Island. So I was living in Boston last year. Shout out to my people in Boston, by the way. I was out there, and I wanted some vegan food because I was plant-based for 3 years, so not anymore though. But
yeah, I didn't give you judging eyes.
So I was plant-based for 3 years. So during the time I was looking for some type of food up there, and I found that. And it used to be by Chloe. I don't know if you ever heard of that restaurant, by Chloe. It was like a vegan restaurant, but that's what the restaurant was before it became Beat Nick. I went there one day, I ate the food, and it was great. And I'm like, you know what? Let me try to even take it up a notch. So the next time I came, I was like, you know what? I'm about to work my magic. I spoke to the manager, and I told him what I did. I pretty much showed him everything, my credentials. I showed him my resume, showed him what I do, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make you a brand ambassador. And then I told him I had a video idea, and you know, I'll do the B-roll footage, but you know, the video, you know, I made pretty much a commercial for them, and it's out there. It's on their page. You can look it up. Everything is there. So and that's how I became a brand ambassador for them. But even before that, I was a brand ambassador for 2 companies already. So Scarred Official, and one is Scarred Official, and then another one is Mandela Apparel. So those are both other clothing lines that I'm a brand ambassador for as well.
Oh, that's great, bro.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's insane. You told me your previous employer, one of your previous employers, was a sales job when you were living in Cali. Bro, you seem like you're a citizen of the US, bro. Like you lived everywhere.
Yeah,
so when you were living in Cali, and I'm bringing this up because you're all about men's growth, etc. And this is like a stepping stone to my main question.
Okay.
You were a salesman.
Yeah.
In California.
Over here too.
Over here too. And my question is, what's your perspective on how important a sales job is for specifically a man?
Oh man.
Bro, I ask good questions. I'm gonna go host.
Because this is a very great question, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I wouldn't be right here if it wasn't for sales. I wouldn't be speaking as confidently as I am right now if it wasn't for sales. So I'll give you a rundown. 2018, I started. I moved to Cali, right? I'm gonna tell you, I moved to California, and I was out in Sacramento. Shout out to Sacktown, all my family out there and everything like that. I moved out there for a little while, and I came back. I came back by train, by the way, Cali to Jersey by train. Best experience of my life. 4 days. If y'all never took the train from coast to coast, do it. That's like a bucket list thing. Got back home. Oh, let me backtrack. I did door to door in the middle of Bakersville, California. I was in Modesto, I was in all those areas, knocking doors all day in the blistering, like in the crazy heat. And one thing that it taught me was like, you have to get it out the mud by all means, for one, and not be afraid of rejection. Like being afraid of rejection should not be in a man's psyche. Like don't be afraid of nothing.
Right.
For one, nothing for one, but especially rejection. Like no. When people say no to you, when you're trying to make themselves, no just means next opportunity. That's all it means. You feel what I'm saying? So no is next opportunity. So that was my mindset every time I'm knocking doors, they closing in my face. Some people let me in, some people didn't. And then I got rejected. I'm like, no means next opportunity, so I'm gonna keep it pushing. Fast forward, moved back to Jersey. I landed a sales job in the mall. I was working at Garden State.
Okay.
And I was selling jewelry.
Okay.
I was the kiosk guy. I was the annoying kiosk guy that had to cold approach everybody to buy something.
Right.
That was what really got me out of my shell, because at first I'm like, I know I can speak well, but where is the confidence? I mean, first day I sunk up the place. Second day, probably made like $600 in sales, easy. Because I just say, I'm gonna flip the script. I'm gonna flip the script today. And cold approaching, I'm telling you, it will bring you all the way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You won't be afraid to speak to nobody. Go up to any woman if you want to approach one, or any type of business owner, anybody. It don't matter who it is. Cold approaching is the greatest cheat code in the world if you master it.
So I like how you tangled that job with specifically women.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, how important is it for a man to have a sales job?
It is very important, because, like you just said, like when it comes to even women, it gets you where you're not afraid of rejection. A lot of men are kind of like on a fence with approaching women. They act like the women when it comes to approaching. You're supposed to be projective. Men are made to be projective. Women are made to be receptive by nature. I didn't make it this way. God made it this way. Mm-hmm. But just by nature, as a man, you're supposed to always be on the attack. You're always supposed to be out there doing things projectively. That's what sales entail. Sales entail for you to step outside the comfort zone and just go out and attack and do what you got to do.
We have a question from Speedy. Would you be cool if you helped by donating to my 5th grade and 6th grade girls basketball team?
Yeah, for sure. Let's make it happen. Just send me the app.
Yeah.
So what Speedy just did is accepted a donation towards the 5th grade and 6th grade basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Very giving, man. That's very humble.
Gotta give it back, man.
Just to capitalize on the point of sales, I think a man's life is basically sales.
Break that down.
You know, you gotta sell yourself to everything. You gotta find a job, you gotta sell yourself in an interview. You find a woman, you gotta sell yourself. You know,
For sure.
basically an interview, first date, second date, etc. You know, when you end up meeting their parents, sales job. You know, you gotta sell yourself, man.
Yeah.
First thing the father ends up doing is like, hey, what do you do? First question.
I'll let them know.
You know, so I think all men need to go through some type of a sales job where they have to handle rejection, get comfortable with rejection, and have a lifestyle of full of rejection, just so that it won't sting whenever you get rejected.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. For sure. I agree. I agree.
Speedy, I have this segment on my one-on-one podcasts where they're random about entrepreneurship, because at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
All right. What I would love is for you to answer them as directly as possible. Okay, with just a few sentences, just so we could get down to the list.
Okay.
All right. First question.
Yeah.
Should you go to college?
Yes. Because you can network with everybody.
I like that. That's a good answer. What's the biggest loss or scam you had in a business?
Biggest loss and scam I had in business. Wow. I haven't ran into any major ones.
No, not at all. All right. Listen, to give you guys some shit, man. You know, during COVID, I had an email. All right. I think his name was Lucas. It was a Caucasian. I don't know. It was a basic John Smith name. But he ended up reaching out to me. He was like, "Listen, I wanted some personal training for my 3 daughters. Okay. I want you to train them at a park. I am located at another state, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them in a, I guess, bus." He seems very wealthy. I'm going to send them to a bus. You guys are going to meet at a park. You guys are going to train. You're going to have the equipment. And then that's pretty much it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, no problem. This is COVID. So I'm collecting unemployment. And I'm like, yo, like, I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm at home scratching my ass, you know? So I accepted. I was like, okay, cool, no problem. How are we going to be paying? And I was like, all right, I have cashier's check. Okay, cool. My guy over there, he's smirking. He already knows. So I had the cashier's check. Okay, cool, no problem. So he ended up sending me the cashier's check through like priority, high security mail. Like it was. I got it like the next day. It was crazy. Okay, but I was not an idiot. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check this in. Okay. And this guy was very, very pushy about starting training. I was like, hey, he was like, hey, you know, my daughters are waiting. When can we start? I'm like, sir, calm your tits.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for this check to clear.
Right.
Okay. So past 3 days, okay, more than 48 hours, I call Chase, my bank. And I'm like, hey, listen, I ended up taking a picture of this check. I ended up cashing it in digitally. Did it go through? Yes, it did go through. Okay, perfect. Are you sure it went through? Yes, it went through. It's in your account. Okay, cool, no problem. Yo, I'm trusting my bank.
Yeah.
You know, I waited fucking half hour in customer service just for them to say yes.
Yes.
Okay. I end up telling the guy, okay, we're green light. When can this happen? So my grandfather, who raised me, passed away with COVID. Okay, he was 96 years old. I had a soft spot for COVID, right? So a few months has passed. I wanted to work, and the guy told me, "Hey, listen, I had a family emergency. I'm gonna need that money back ASAP." I'm literally like sitting next to my girl watching a movie at that time, right? I'm like, babe, look, like, you know, I don't, like, literally in my contracts, I don't fucking do refunds.
Right.
But it's fucking COVID, bro.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm like, I had a soft spot. My grandfather. I'm like, I'm not asking for advice from her, but I'm like, listen, you know, I'm just kind of like expressing my thoughts. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
you know. So this guy needed the money ASAP because his family, cousin, whatever. So he was like, listen, you know, can you cash at me this? Can you Zelle me that? Listen, my cap for Zelle is this. My cash out for this is that. You know, this guy literally paid me about, I think, $5,000, $6,000 in the check. So it was that much, bro. That's why I was very careful with that money, and I called the bank. If it was $1,000, I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? So I send them a Zelle payment, which was $1,500. Send them a cash app, $1,500, because that's the cap.
Yeah.
Okay. The next day, bro, I had an itch in my balls. I was like, bro, like something's wrong here. I called the bank, right? I was like, something's wrong. I called the bank. I was like, hey, bank, can you please reconfirm that the check, you know, is in my account? The $6,000 is in my account. He was like, oh no, the check bounced. I was like, God, fucking damn it.
I was waiting.
Bro, I was like, I wasn't even mad at the guy. The guy is scamming, you know, that's his job, whatever. Maybe he needed the money, it is what it is. You know,
he needed it more.
It is what it is, bro. You know, I was in that situation, but I'm just mad at the bank telling me, you know, 24 hours later that it bounced when they told me 24 hours before that, you know, so that was my biggest
job. They didn't do their job.
You know, they gave me the fine print shit, the policy, and and you know, like like in the very, very last part of the policy, it was like, go fuck yourself. I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. So that was my COVID story.
Dang.
All right, so biggest business risk you took?
Biggest business risk I took. I mean, just going all out on it. Like retiring from like certain like jobs, like actual jobs, and working on my work. You know, work to me is purpose, which is business, which is my life, which is motivational speaking. So going all out on that is where the real work is. You know, jobs, anybody can get that. You know what I mean? So jobs are, you know, are for skilled people.
Okay.
You know, so yeah.
Should you work a 9-to-5 job?
Yes.
Elaborate, because I've seen some clips where, you know, and I've done it too, where we kind of bash a 9-to-5 because we're entrepreneurs. I'm not gonna cap.
I'm not gonna bash 9-to-5ers because, for one, some of us in here are probably still 9-to-5ers, right? Including myself. Like I still do the 9-to-5 thing, but I'm not attached to it. I understand what I'm doing it for. If you do a 9-to-5 with the intent of knowing that you're gonna go out of it, do it. You know what I mean? Do it, and networking. That's the whole point. Network inside of the 9-to-5, so you can climb up the ladder to do something great for yourself.
Why do people fail when they try to make or create or even start their own business?
Why do people fail, you say? Ignorance, that's one. And ignorance is not a bad thing. Ignorance means literally you just don't know. So if you don't know anything, you know, you're going to fail. And I think failing is actually really good because you learn from your fails. Like, so for those who know the quote that I go by, and this is the quote that's going viral on social media right now, I go by a rule: 2 L's, 2 W's in life. First you lose, and then you learn after you lose. Or no, first you lose, then you learn after you lose, then you gain wisdom after you lose, then you win after you lose, and then you gain wisdom after you win, lose, and learn. So it's two. So you're winning and you're gaining wisdom, but then also, you know, you're taking the L's and then you're learning from the L's as well.
I like that.
You know, so I go by those rules because, you know, I think at the end of the day, when you lose and you learn, it turns into a W. So when you look at this, right? When you look at, I'm gonna speak like this. When you look at 2 L's, you can pretty much convert it into a W.
Right.
And that's what the win is in life, no matter what. So I think, I
love that.
Yeah,
You actually have a question on that from one of your followers.
Cool,
Right?
what?
It says, the girl who broke your heart, is that the same girl who bagged the ugly manager?
No, it wasn't. She's talking about the after hours on one of the episodes. No, she's not.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, actually, the girl with the dad, you know, she didn't break my heart, you know, but like the first girl in high school, man, when you lose your virginity, bro, it you know what I mean? Like, it's just that connection.
Was that like one of your failures? I guess that's why you wanted to know.
I don't know, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold up.
Oh, we have OMG, you're so pretty. You remind me of iCarly.
Talk to me.
Tebow from my.
Thank you.
Tebow.
It wasn't a question.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I feel fabulous.
Shakira says, "What's up?" and that you're killing it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's go through these questions real quick. I don't want to work for anyone. I want to be my own boss. What does that mean nowadays in 2023, in your perspective?
COVID changed it, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it changed a lot of people's lives and it woke a lot of people up to, what life is all about and the importance of lives too. Like, so when people went through COVID, everybody had a chance to really sit down and be by themselves and learn, like, this world is really different. Like, it's a place where I'm in, and here's my position. How can I reevaluate my whole situation? And, that means pretty much that I don't want to work for one. I want to be my own boss. It pretty much means that I just want to do my own thing, live my purpose, and what I really truly desire.
I like that. For me, I think it's just it's the wave.
Mm.
It's a wave. Some people can handle the wave.
That's true.
Some people will survive the wave, and some people will drown in the wave.
Yeah.
I think it's a wave right now where everybody wants to be their own boss. But, they need to realize that some people are just really good at being the number two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe you can't lead, but you could be the number two man. There's nothing wrong with that.
What if you're the number one and you're number two?
Then you just grow. You, like you said, you get up, that's your mentor. Mm-hmm. A real mentor wants someone to become independent from that person so that they could become their number one in a different niche, maybe in the same niche. And you know what I mean? Like, the big problem is, just because you're building your tower or your skyscraper, that doesn't mean you need to bomb all the other skyscrapers down.
Yeah, it's like the saying, everybody there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah,
everybody trying to be a chief.
Exactly.
Nobody don't got the cojones to be a chief.
Exactly.
Everybody got Indian characteristics. Not chiefs.
I love that.
Yeah.
Speedy, what's next for you? What's coming for you?
Oh, man. What's next for me?
Yeah, what's the next speaking event that you're doing?
So right now, I'm on a podcast tour right now. So this is one of my stops right here with you, man. And I just want to say shout out to you, bro. Like, you're doing your thing.
I appreciate it.
Homage to you right now.
Thank you so much.
I give people their flowers in their face. You know what I mean? Not when they die. You feel what I'm saying? So what's next for me is to grace more people's platforms, more collaborative work. That's probably one of the biggest keys to growing your social media accounts and growing your brand, period, is networking and collabing with everybody who is conducive to your brand. If you feel like your brand, you want to grow your brand in certain ways, collab. And that's what's next for me. Also, getting in front of more people to speak. That's number one. And like I told you before, social media management, that's what I do as well. So that's what's next, man.
Let me put you on the panel, bro. Like, where's the location? Where can people reach you? How can they find you? What are your tags? What are your...
All right, so you can find me all platforms, The Speedy Tribe, right? So on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn as well, the same thing. Email, thespeedytribe@gmail.com. That's everything there. And yeah, man, we going up, man.
Bro, listen, I hope you had fun. How'd you like the pod? Am I a good host?
Come on, man.
Did I ask good questions, man?
Come on, B. You know? Listen, this man right here, man, he was telling me that he grew up in Patterson, so, when I found that out, I'm like, yo, man, he's from his home team right here, pretty much, Passaic County. So, I had this, shout out to Val, too. And Joe, too, everybody in here. So, I had to come on and grace this man's podcast, and this guy's doing his numbers, he's doing his thing. Shout out to Brian, shout out to the Abarcast. The Abarcast. This guy's killing it with it. And I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing, man.
Of course, bro. Listen, I just want to toast to your success, dude.
I got to do some more of this in here, man.
The secret sauce, guys.
Secret sauce, baby.
Secret sauce.
Yeah.
it's a tradition to toast to the person's success.
Thank you, my bro.
I'll see you soon, man. And guys, just stay tuned. I know we're a little behind, but does not matter. Speedy's gonna be staying over for the after-hour show. We have beautiful ladies coming on in a few minutes. It's gonna be a blast. We're gonna be talking about dating, relationships, and you know, since we got two guys here, just some masculinity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yin and yang, huh?
Yeah. So stay tuned, guys. Just give us an interlude. 10 minutes.
Come on, y'all.
What's your voice?
Yes, sir.
Instantly share it, Brian?
Yeah. Just,
Copy. No caption, right?
tag Speedy and then just